Okay, I'm not gonna say it's really fucking late right now, but it's really fucking late, okay? And I tried doing this VOD review already, but I got really bored, and I didn't really have enough time to do it. So here we are, we're doing this fucking VOD review for one Dragon Mar. He is another Valorant YouTuber that has about, I don't know, like 5 subs or something. Pretty small fucking YouTuber. He's alright, you know. If we're going on like mile radius, I'd say like in like a 30-mile radius, he's probably like at least the 3rd best player. But he has some really good videos, so I definitely recommend checking him out. But we're gonna get started. Just to preface this video, I'm not a Brimstone player, so a lot of the shit that he may be doing, I might correct it, and then I might just be completely wrong. But I really doubt that. You know, I have my basic knowledge on like Counter-Strike smokes and shit, so for the most part, I should be able to correct a Brimstone pretty easily. So we're gonna get this 37-minute thing started. Let's go. So we're gonna start off here. And he's going to be playing mid with an op, and he notices he gets smoked off right away, right? So in this position right here, right, you've lost 2 teammates. So let's see what he does here. He's going to back out towards CT, which is the good proper move. He needs to find a pick here is what really needs to happen, and that's what he's looking for. It's kind of an unwinnable situation. He gets 1, gets 2. He's going to go for the re-peek. Now, in this situation, looking at economy-wise, I don't know what your guys' economy is right now. So, depending on economy, it's really like whether or not you should actually play this out. And right here, you can see you had an op, which is a very expensive weapon. And yes, you got those 2 kills. So, I'm assuming you were kind of fucking feeling yourself, right? But in this situation here, I definitely would not have went for that. Because yes, it's winnable, but at the same time, you really could use that op and actually win yourself that eco round just with the op. So I personally don't think that was a good idea trying to go for this, but I mean, you took down 2, you made it expensive for them. They're already kind of broke, so you did do work to their economy at least. So you're going to smoke off these 2 sides, and I'm assuming you guys are going to make an aggressive play towards mid. Yep. Your team isn't with you, so that's really not your fault. Your team should have been right on your back, but they kind of just baited you. So here we have the op again. 5th round. You're going to take a different angle than the last one. Your teammate goes down, so you're going to play from market. You notice him there. Get the re-smoke off. What I would recommend doing here is, since your Sage is kind of covering this, you could potentially like smoke off top mid, both the top mid, and then continue to hold B tons to get that extra pick for the balance, right? Smoking, it's not a bad move, but it's kind of pointless for you to be there with an op and just sitting there watching the smoke. And if you were to say smoke this, then he probably wouldn't have walked up behind you, and maybe your Sage could have dealt with it. But you need to be very aware in this situation, like I said, because you already have a Reyna here. So if you're not either going to smoke that or you're not going to play it, you can't be watching this. Just solely for the fact that you have your forces already spread so thin. Your Sage isn't really watching middle. You need to be that player playing mid because you're spread thin, right? If your Reyna can somewhat lock down CT and B site, he actually needs to be pushing on to B site right now. That's kind of his fault. He needs to be actually kind of getting a little bit more aggressive towards B, so he can actually get in a position to actually hold off a push. Or you could argue that, right, he's playing for retake. But in this situation, when you're down a man, I'd say that him actually getting onto the site and making a bit more of an aggressive play, and you moving over to mid and holding mid probably would have been the move in this situation. Because you guys gave up mid, he just walked in market and fucking shot you in the back of the goddamn head. So you got a shorty here, you're playing close. Pretty much a one and done angle, but I mean, what else can you really do in this situation, right? This is a fine play. Nice pick. Gonna go for the second. At this point, right here, you need to smoke and get the fuck out because it's 4v2, right? You're on an anti-eco round, or you're on an eco round, sorry. You need to smoke this off and get the hell out of there because you can't fight this with the shorty. Your team's right there. You need to find a way out. Or wait for him to push you, one of the two. If you go for the re-peek, you definitely lose this fight. Yeah, you notice your teammate goes down, and then you decide to peek. This makes it a much harder round for your team to win. Let's see. Yeah, this just went from extremely winnable to very, very hard to win in the blink of a fucking eye. If you were to play safer and your teammate, whoever pushed from B side, decided to play a little bit more passive, this round would be much more secure than it is right now. This still looks winnable though, but oh, he won it. Okay, epic, dude. All right, so you're gonna be back with the op again. See what's going on here. So you're gonna throw the ult down. It's a good ult. Solid kill. The Raze jumps over. Now this is just a very hard situation to win. There's only really one option you have here. You throw the ult down, right? And instantly, right, you notice that the Raze is there. The nade comes in, so you don't really have much of an option other than to repeak or wait on the nade and try and smoke it off, right? So you go for the repeak, and either way, you're pretty much dead. So that comes down to just having a poor position from the get-go. This position right here, for an op specifically, yes, it's a good angle to hold, but it's very tradable, right? Like, if anyone gets through this choke point right here, you're holding it with an op, right? So you're going to get traded almost 90% of the time. If there are two people here, you will die almost every single time. So I wouldn't recommend playing this spot, this pizza spot at all. I'd recommend opting for the deeper CT spot. And yes, the deeper CT spot may be more pre-aimed, but you have much more of a chance to actually get out with your life, right? And when you're having a $4,500 weapon, you just have to be very careful about that. Solid shot. And now you're playing the deeper CT spot, which I definitely would prefer over it. Now, if you smoke off, there you go. So I'm assuming you're calming that there's shit mid, right? Your Sage isn't really watching Catwalk. You need to just smoke and leave, or just leave in general. Just need to warn your Raze that there's potential they'll be going through fucking alt mid. So in this spot, it's fine to go for an early peek, but it's also ideal to have your teammate wait for you, or to wait for your teammate. You're going to go very wide here, which I don't really recommend. I wouldn't say this is a great play. What I would do in this situation, right, is I would just hold this box and wait for him to actually swing wide enough, because if I go too deep, then I'm easily tradable. It is a calculated risk, though, that you took, and you ended up getting a pick for it, so I'm not going to say much about that. So you get the pick here. Your Raze isn't really helping. That's a clean fucking shot, though. Throw the smokes in, and you fucking get the 4K. Hell yeah. So a solid played round. It was just a little bit unsafe the way you played this. But obviously, like, you know, you got to take calculated risks sometimes. And you took it here, and it worked out well. So you get the call that it's B. You throw the smoke in quick. Your radar's fucking blasted. Now, you have two players playing here from CT, and two going in through market. So, holding the cross right here is fine. You still have two smokes. You have one smoke at your disposal right now. So, what I would do here, because you already know one's here, right? And the other one's probably on site. It looks like you're kind of worried about CT here. So, in positions where you're extremely worried about shit like this, like long angle specifically, like getting shot in the back from like heaven over on A site, just throw a smoke down, like, at your close. Like, yes, they can push through the smoke and kill you, but it shuts down this giant-ass angle, and a lot of the times you're just going to run to actually get through that smoke, because they have to actually clear all this area. They can't just get a free kill, right? So, throw a smoke down if you're worried about a certain angle like this, and you're trying to retake a site. But I believe you guys win this round. There's actually, I don't think there's anyone actually back there. I think he's on site. Maybe? Yeah, he's on site. So you were just a little bit distracted with that area, which is fine. But for future reference, just throw some shit down there. Just completely eliminate the option that he can peek you from that area. So you're back in the pizza spot here. And you're going to move out of the pizza spot. That's just fucking, that's unlucky. There's not much you can do about that. Other than anticipating it, but who the fuck is going to anticipate that first time, right? So we're starting off T side, 7-5. Not the best score for defense. Winning 7 rounds isn't super ideal when you're defending, but get a solid headshot. Now right here, what you could have done differently is you have the smoke down here, right? You still have 2 smokes at your disposal, and you get a free pick, right? So you get a free pick. It is now 3-4, and your team isn't actually pushed up yet, so you don't have to make a move here. Because if you make a move here, right, you get shot here by this guy that's just standing here. You don't need to make this move here at all. This just gets you killed. Your team is not even pushed in yet. They're not even pushed into catwalk. If your team was a little bit faster, I could see where you'd want to do this. But what you can do in this situation is once you get this first pick, just pause for a second. Because yes, they're going to know your catwalk. But if you just throw that smoke there to eliminate that angle, that's perfect for you, right? I don't know what's going on in your head. Maybe you want to save the smokes for ace site. But just to get you through this one choke point, it's more than enough, right? Because this Raze probably won't push through that with your fucking head cut off. But who am I to judge? You know, it's a Raze player. They do so much stupid shit, right? So you go down here, and your team only has access to this area of the map now. You have lost that whole area of map control by dying in that position. So I would have just taken a step back at that point. Yes, it's a very, you got to think quick on your feet in situations like that, but you still had a minute to work with. So you could have repositioned, put some smokes down, just thought it out a little bit better. So they're going to win that round. They're going to take that round out from under you. So you get the pick on A. They're instantly going to push in. You got the smoke down to cover their path. And I'm assuming you're going to post up on heaven at this point, right? Your teammate's already up there. So at this point, you have the op, right? There's really no need for you to actually come up in this area. It's a little bit unnecessarily aggressive. When it's planted for long, especially with an op, you should probably just be playing long. Given, right, they have the omen, so there is that factor of being worried about the smokes actually cutting down your post plant in this situation. So either way, right, like either play is good. You can take a bit of an aggressive approach and try and get an early pick, thus securing even more of a man advantage, or you could play back and long and kind of play for the fact that they might actually kill the rest of your team. So at this point, I would have stopped by now. As an opper, as a long-time opper, the deepest I would have went with this op is probably right here, maybe up here. So I can just take the shot and fall off. Maybe if I just sit at this little angle right here, I can just kind of wait there and hold this angle. But it seems like you're going to push through even more, which isn't bad. It's just the fact that it's 9-6, and if you give them free picks and your economy gets shattered just because of the loss of an op, right, it's a dangerous snowball effect. So yeah, you guys are pretty much going to finish them off. You're going to hunt them a little bit. Not much happens there. Just personally, even in rounds like this, where it looks like it's super winnable, right? You think they're probably saving. I still would have played this very safely, in my opinion, just because it is 9-6, right? And if you really are trying to win this round, it's very, very important that you kind of prepare for your teammates to start getting a little bit complacent and start dying. Complacency is one of the biggest things that loses games, right? If you get complacent just a little bit, the enemy team can get so momentum and then just roll you right back, right? It's one of the biggest things that you have to, just be aware of. So your team went down there. You got 2 picks from them. If you know they're ecoing, you guys need to group up and hit something here. You're looking for a free pick to balance it back out. Now at this point, I would just stay mid and let your Cypher work, and you can try and get a pick mid while he tries to get a pick A. Yes, it's fine to work together here as well, but spreading out and both of you trying to get picks is also a pretty good way to play in a round like this when you are down. It looks like you guys are pretty much just trading spots, so that's fine. Doesn't look like anything's going to happen there. You guys are going to move. You guys are going to make a split play, which I'm not particularly thinking is a great play. Yeah, because if something like that happens, there's nothing you guys can do about it, right? So you're going to go for the repeat, I believe. Yep. You're going to try and take this man down. You hit the shot, and you need to get the fuck out of there. You don't have time. That's a pointless death. Right? Like, yes, you could try and kill both of them, but no matter how many of them you kill, like say you get this kill and you get the next kill, you know for a fact that the other player is not going to push you. He has no reason to. The spike is down. There's no reason for you to be peeking here. You should have just saved the op. It's perfectly fine. It happens, right? See how much money you guys have. You guys have a lot of money. So what I could assume you were trying to do is do damage to their economy to the maximum extent possible, but you potentially just gave them an op there. Yeah, he just picked up the op. So they just went from being somewhat broken to not having an op. So in that situation, you should have just gotten the fuck out of there, played a more passive angle, or even just went and saved completely. So you're going to throw the smokes down. Looks like it's already a 1-to-1 pick ratio. You're going to throw the smoke CT, I'm assuming. You guys need to trade that. Good stuff. You're going to drop the op. You guys are going to get aggressive towards site. Good job clearing out all those angles for your team. Yeah, that's tough. He actually just got a really good play on you. He's having a good day. Damn, dude, he fucking spray transferred you guys. Not much you can do in that round, right? Let me analyze it a bit more. Yeah, no, you guys played that well. He just got really lucky on you guys. Like, he takes that one guy down, and then you guys go for the trade kill on each other, and he just wins the gunfight. There's not much I can say there. Perfectly fine post plans from you guys. You're going to hunt to try and damage their economy a little bit, but the thing is you guys are pretty broken at the same time, so it's very risky for you to actually be doing this. I want to see the money real quick. Yeah, no, you definitely shouldn't have hunted there. I don't know if you were hunting or just trying to exit, but all three of you should have exited from the same area as to avoid any complications with money, because they have a lot of money. If you kill them, they can just buy again for the most part. Just a little bit too risky, because now you can't really afford heavy armor and all your utility with a Phantom Vandal. Yeah, now you're struggling. You can't buy an Incend. You can barely buy a Stim. Given Stims aren't super important, but the Incend is a very solid piece of utility that you are going to want. So just in rounds like that, when your economy's a little bit hurting, just be very careful about that. So you guys are going to work towards A here, almost all of you. It's a good trade. You get your smokes down quick. Oh, you have an ult too. Okay. So you're going to smoke that off. Just push straight in. It's a solid pick from you. Now you still have a smoke. You can still smoke that choke off, which you definitely should do against that op. But it looks like you were going for the kill first before trying that. You know last is up there, and you guys win the round. So a few things I have to say about this game, right? Now, obviously, right, like the play was pretty solid. Your aim is on for the most part, but there are just some small mistakes in your game sense that you just don't realize, or at least maybe you realize it, but you just don't care. So the big things I noticed with you, Dragonmar, is there are a lot of risky one and done angles that you play with the op, which you leave yourself really no room for error. And if anything deviates from the plan that you have set in your mind, you get taken out, right? You die. Now, you really need to be very careful about the positions you're playing with the op, because
such an expensive weapon, and I noticed a lot of these times you were playing the one and done angles. One and done, for those of you who don't know, is just a position you can play where you don't really have many options to actually get the fuck out of there with your goddamn life. And there were a lot of positions and a lot of situations that you put yourself in that you could have easily avoided, where you just to play a much safer angle, right? And one of the other big things with this is, as I was saying, you do this a lot when your economy is hurting. So you will have this op, right? And you'll spend a lot of money on this op, and your economy's like pretty much busted, yet you decide to go for this risky play. And if it doesn't work out, then you lose that economical advantage that you may have had. Like specifically on that clutch round in the start of the round, in the start of the game, when it was a 3 versus 1 and you had the op and you got 2 picks, you had already damaged their economy. You had done more than you needed to do. At that point, the best route for you to take would to be simply just saving that op for the next round, because that secures the fact that you will most likely be able to at least get 1 or 2 kills on the next round that you play, because you have that op, right? There needs to be a little bit more diversity in the way you play with the op too. As an opper, the way I played the op was known as the floating op. It's a term coined by my coach, the person that coached me, and basically what the floating op is the op, once they lose a couple gunfights in a certain area, or once they get like a lot of kills in a certain area, say they get like 2 kills in one area of the map. So say you get 2 kills in middle, you would then move towards like a site, right? And you would take aggressive peeks there, and you would just completely change where you're playing over and over. Now, I get this is much harder in matchmaking, but it's something you consider trying to work into your playstyle, because you are a good opper. I'm assuming you are an opper, just from watching you play. You're an opper and a support player. And with the op comes the fact that, yes, since you are a support player, it might be smart for you to be static in one area of the map. But with the op, one good way to play it, and one way you can work into your playstyle, is the floating op. Because the good thing about the floating op, and the reason why it's such a strong fucking role, is because it's so hard to predict an opper that is constantly moving around the map, right? He's constantly in different positions, and you never know where the fuck he's at. He's not putting himself in positions to die, right? He's playing more passive angles, or he's playing very aggressive angles that he can very easily escape from. The angles you were putting yourself in with Yop were very hard to escape from, and the positions and scenarios you were putting yourself in were, the risk versus reward just was not there, right? You need to recognize the juice versus the squeeze in a lot of these situations, which you may have recognized, but you got a little bit overconfident. And yes, this is just matchmaking, right? Maybe if there was money on the line or something, you'd be playing a lot safer. I would assume you would. But me just analyzing this from the base level, you know, just trying to critique to the best of my ability, there are a lot of times when you just take very unnecessary risks that you don't need to be taking in that scenario, right? Economy-wise, right? Just kill-wise and round-wise, right? Because the more and more you decide to take these risks, and the more and more you lose them, that's just that much more wear and tear on your economy that you could be very easily avoiding. Like hunting people for absolutely no reason when you don't need to hunt people, right? Like when you decide to hunt somebody in a 4 versus 3, when your money is worse than theirs, right? You do not need to be hunting when they have good money and you have none, right? You don't need to take those guns out of their hand. It's not worth it. You need to exit as a team. Now, putting yourself in very hard to win situations when your economy is already broken is a bad idea as well. Yes, sometimes it's very good to take these very risky situations, but when you don't have the economy to back these risks, a lot of the times it's not worth it, right? You need to recognize when it's actually worth it. Now, I get it, you know, risks are still good to take, even if your economy is a little bit busted, but you take a lot of risks, right? And you are a very risky player, you are a very aggressive player, but you also mix that in with your passive playstyle, which I have noticed, right? So all in all, you look like a very hybrid player, right? Like you play passive in a lot of situations, but you also have a very good grasp and understanding on how to play aggressive. You just need to understand a little bit more of the risk versus reward, and you know, maybe a little bit more of using your utility to help you retake bomb sites. I noticed for retakes you kind of ignored your smokes, which is fine, but it's something you could work on, right? You could just start using smokes a little bit more when you need to retake the site. Aside from that though, there's not really much to say. I hope what I was saying actually gets through to you guys, everyone watching the video. Dragonmar, if you're watching the video, I'm assuming you are. So, I mean, just to sum it up, that's kind of my basic thoughts on that. if any of you guys like have any questions about what I'm trying to say, because I know I just kind of rambled on and just kept talking, go ahead and leave it in the comments, man, and I will much more in depth actually respond and reply and help you guys kind of understand what I'm trying to get at here, what I'm trying to pick at. So that's pretty much all. I know I rambled for like 5 minutes there, but I just wanted to quickly cover the big things that I saw during this game. So